What is the key then to have a relationship of mutual self-respect? What does that entail? As I said in the last video, the first thing above everything is to have self-respect. If you don't have self-respect, you can't have a relationship of mutual respect. So let's break that down. Self-respect is where I understand, first and foremost, my identity. And I'm not talking about a person's sexual identity or their male or female. This is a much deeper issue. This is understanding your value, your worth, who you are. And as long as you don't understand that, you're going to struggle to have self-respect, because what we do is we end up looking at our past, or looking at what people have said about us, or looking at what our parents did, or the things that have gone wrong in our lives, and we judge ourselves. And none of that is who you are. Those are things you did. Those are things that happened to you. But that's not who you are. You have to first and foremost understand your genuine identity. And I believe that that has to be your spirit. It has to go back to your spiritual self. It has to go back to the person you really are, if you will, unseen energy. Everything quantum physics says is energy. And the essence of who you are is spirit. You are a spiritual being who has a soul that is learning and experiencing life. And it's doing that through a human body. It's having a human experience in that body. Your body is not who you are. Your soul is a part of your spirit. But you are, first and foremost, if you will, an energy being, a spiritual person. And so that spirit, that person that you are, your essence, if you will, is valuable and good, and has always been valuable and good and lovable and acceptable, because that ultimately is your identity. That's who you are. It's not your race. It's not your gender. It's not your nationality. It's not the language or the culture you come from. Those things, in and of themselves, cannot identify you. You are way, way too big for that. You are connected, if you will, to the source of all life in the inner person, the spirit, which you are. You are a spirit. If you can begin to see that, you can begin to see that you have infinite worth and value, that you are lovable, that you deserve to be respected, to respect first and foremost yourself. And respecting yourself means coming to these conclusions, that you're a person of worth and value. The problem is we've had hurts and wounds and traumas in our life and disappointments that have caused us to have a different conclusion. And that conclusion that we have had based on those hurts and traumas is that somehow we're not worthy. Somehow there's something wrong with us. That's the big one. I hear that all the time in my counseling practice. There's something wrong with me. No, there's nothing wrong with you. Never has been. You may have had some things in life where you've some mistakes, some failures, some things that have gone wrong, relationships that have failed, career failures, whatever it may be. It has to be something deeper. It has to be something within that does that, not something outside of you. And so that's where the rubber hits the road, if you will. And most of us in that situation, we struggle. But if you can begin to grow in this reality of who you are, that you are lovable, that you are worthy of respect, you can begin to live above fear. We're going to talk more about fear in some later videos, but you don't have to live based on these false understandings of who you are, a false persona, false ego, if you will. And you can begin to live in the truth of who you are, which is someone who's lovable, deserving of love. You're worthy. And it's not until you respect yourself enough to be able to say no to people. Respect yourself enough to set boundaries. Respect yourself enough to know what your value and worth is, and to live in that value and worth. That until that happens, and what that means is, instead of loathing who you are, you begin to love who you are. And as you love who you are, You are now a candidate to be in a relationship of mutual respect, where trust can be built because love is being built. Everything has to be based on love, ultimately. Everything is about love. It's all about love. But respect comes from first loving yourself. And then I would say learning in time to like who you are. Even with all your mistakes, even with all the things you would change, that's okay. You can have things you would change, but you need to come to the conclusion that you're worthy of love and that you like who you are. And I have news. If you wake up every morning and look in the mirror and you can't stand that person in the mirror, life, it's going to be a long life. It is first and foremost about loving yourself. And that is the key to an enduring relationship. And the first place to start is to come to the understanding of who you actually are. As long as you're looking outside yourself to try and get validation, to try and figure out who you are from people, from money, from things, from culture, none of it's going to work. None of it works. Listen, I've done this for over 30 years, working with people. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And here's the thing. Everything you need is already inside you. You don't need to go anywhere to get anything. You're already everything you need to be. And the person who's telling you that you're not, you need to walk away from that person. That is not true. I'll tell you the one institution that will tell you that, and that's religion. Religion will tell you there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Other people will try and tell you that. Listen, you may have some failures and faults, but that's not your true identity. And as you come to the reality that you're worthy of love, then you can be open to the changes that need to occur. But those changes aren't going to produce value just because you see, our value isn't based on performance. Our value is based on something infinitely greater. And that's been determined by the source of all life. That's been determined, if you will, by the universe. It lives within you, and you're connected to everything. And you're a person of worth and value. You are worthy to be loved and worthy to love yourself. And when you begin to love yourself, now you can begin to love other people. You can begin to be in a relationship instead of being based on fear of being rejected, fear that the person will abandon you, fear that you're not good enough, trying to always fix it and taking on the responsibility. It's my fault. No, it's not your fault. That's not true. You can begin, instead of having fear, you can begin to love people and accept them for who they are. You don't have to manipulate anyone. And that's the first step, is coming to this reality that you can love yourself, that you can accept yourself, and in time, hopefully like yourself. And if you like yourself, then you can begin to really enjoy being with yourself and forgiving yourself. We'll talk more about what it means to forgive yourself. All great relationships start with first loving yourself. I've heard people say, well, I've done the work of loving myself, and I still don't have a partner. I still don't have someone who loves me and all that. Here's the thing. If you're focused on trying to get a partner, if you're focused on trying to get someone to be in your life, you're never going to find what you're looking for. Go inward and do the inward work. Do the work of meditation. Do the work of looking inward. Do the work of loving yourself, forgiving yourself, seeing that you are worthy of love, and doing the things that are in alignment with loving who you are. Taking care of yourself, listening to your inner self. Learn to do that. And begin to realize that everything you need lives within you. And there is not a woman or man alive who's going to be able to do that for you. Period. If you don't do that for you, no one can. And you will continue to walk in a disappointment and wonder why. Why does this always happen to me? Well, I'll tell you why. You didn't go inward. Go inward. That person on the inside is worthy of love. That person on the outside is worthy to be cared for, to be thought of as being worthy of love. And you'll begin to attract people who feel that way about themselves. And it won't be in your time. It'll be in the time that it's supposed to be. And realize that you can trust yourself. You can love yourself. You can forgive yourself. It can happen. And we'll talk more about what it means to forgive yourself and really have strong relationships. That's where it really occurs. When you begin to forgive yourself, that's when you begin to have really strong and stable relationships. Begin to accept who you are. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next video.